It seems like Mark Zuckerberg has been caught with his pants down. It seems like Mark Zuckerberg had released these Llama 4 models, and it was like 3 different ones. Of course, small, medium, large. I think it was like Sonnet, Behemoth, Maverick. Basically, these models were breaking all records and all benchmarks, but it seems like that all may have been a lie. What was the lie? Well, it seemed like when it comes to these AIs and how a lot of people on the internet ranks the AIs, they rank them by, well, showing them on these leaderboards like Ella Arena, and people vote them up. And that AI is usually the latest and greatest, especially the ones that's climbing the highest. It's usually the latest and greatest AI. But what happens when you think that this AI is not just going up on the leaderboards, but also it's breaking all records when it comes to the benchmarks that are being tested on top of this? That is actually really impressive, but what may not be impressive is, well, how these AIs are actually being trained on. And I think that this is going to also bring up another point closer to the end of the video that I think will change your mind completely how you think of AI. But with Mark Zuckerberg, he basically trained some of the models, especially the ones that are being tested, to, well, do good on the test. Which kind of sounds weird. It makes sense. Why would you not want to have your model do good on a test or an exam? But it's more than that. If you are training the model on the test data so that you can get a better or passing or a higher score, that's kind of not the same as being tested on these feats. If you're testing yourself or actively practicing on test exams or tested materials, of course you're going to pass easier than you just randomly getting asked questions and you have to answer on the fly and use your knowledge. In the AI sense, you have to pull from the information you're trained on and all the AI weights that you have been trained in, and then use it to answer these questions effectively. But if these AIs are pulling straight from the answer key, from the answer exams, then how smart is this AI? How good is this AI really? And so that's what the problem is with Mark Zuckerberg, it seems like, because even some of the vibe coding that I've seen on Twitter didn't seem like it passed the vibe check, because it's like, well, I seen somebody do the ball in a polygon where it spins around and the ball bounces off the polygon. And we've seen it with Gemini, Claude, DeepSeek, Mistral, Manus, whatever you want to say. It did it with all of them, and it did pretty well. But it didn't seem like it passed the vibe test when it came to Llama. Even though they still have the biggest one, still training, still cooking in the kitchen, it doesn't seem like it's as coherent or as polished as the rest of these models. This is a mixture of experts model, which is different from the other AIs, like the 4Os and the Claudes. And they're gonna be bringing out another model that's more in line with those. But I guess that's also something to take away from there. This is like more like a ChatGPT 4.5. And we saw 4.5 really had good English, good diction, good wording, and could write really good sentences that was very expressive, that kind of felt more like a human being than any other AI model. But even with ChatGPT 4.5, which is a pretty big model, it still didn't do too well when it came to the coding benchmarks. It did really good vibes if he was thinking it was talking to like a human to human interaction. It was really good at leading there, but it wasn't really the best at understanding the environment and understanding how to code and do some more technical things like more of the reasoning models do. But I think this opens up a broader question when it comes to a lot of this, is because, well, that's the benchmarks, and that's how I passed the benchmarks, by basically cheating. But tell me this, is AI not always cheating when it comes to just how it performs in general? Think about it. When you're asking ChatGPT, Grok, or whatever to code these examples, they're using probably data from their training material that probably has already had snake games in there. It's probably had a lot of different books, novels, text messages, posts from these social media sites that's out on the internet to train on it. It's almost like AI always has the answer key in a sense. And if you think about it, AI is always cheating. It's always doing something that's kind of with the answer key. And it makes you think about how smart is AI really? Because think about it. If you had a friend that got their PhD, but the whole time throughout their college experience, they had their PhD through, well, having the latest and greatest answer keys, having the latest and greatest test manuscripts, all the questions ahead of time, and took the test with the answer keys, that person would probably pass, or at least have a high percentage of passing. It would diminish how smart this person is because it has the answer key. Think about it. When you're testing, and even when you do math classes, not only do you not have a cheat sheet, you don't have the formula, you got to remember all of this, as well as sometimes you can't even have a calculator. You got to write this out all by hand. And so in a sense, it's not learning and performing like we are. It's kind of having a vast amount of training resources and cheat sheets at its disposal at all times to give you the answer. And in a sense, that's not really smart if you think about it, but they are knowledgeable. Tell me what you think down below. Do you think that it's horrible what Mark Zuckerberg did and that you think AI may not be as smart as you think? Or you think as long as it can write my essays and do code, I'm okay with it? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that being said, your boy Dex Not Dexter out.